Hey everyone, and welcome to today's explainer. So, have you ever wondered how we actually grow closer to God? I mean, we hear people talk all the time about spiritual growth, but what does that actually look like on a random Tuesday afternoon? Well, today we're diving into a really fascinating devotional text that breaks it all down. It takes something that sounds super complicated and makes it, honestly, incredibly simple. So, let's just dive right in. Okay, I want you to humor me and picture something for a second. Imagine standing in front of your bedroom mirror, squeezing your eyes shut, clenching your fists, grunting, sweating, and straining with literally everything you have to force yourself to grow just 1 inch taller right then and there. It sounds absolutely ridiculous, doesn't it? Because it is. It's totally impossible to make yourself physically taller just by worrying about it or trying super hard. You simply can't stress your way into a growth spurt. Now, spiritual growth basically means getting stronger in Jesus and sharing his love with the people around us. But here's the crazy part. A lot of us make a huge mistake here. We actually try to force our spiritual growth the exact same way that kid in front of the mirror tries to force a physical growth spurt. We completely stress out about it. We sit in our rooms praying endlessly to be a better person, worrying that we just aren't growing fast enough, and then, shocker, we feel stuck and surprised when nothing actually seems to change.
Part 1. The Secret of Plants.
To solve this incredibly frustrating problem, we just need to look at how nature handles growing up, because it is night and day compared to us. Think about the two approaches here. On one hand, you've got our typical human way of doing things, right? Stressing, tracking our progress, constantly worrying if we are good enough today. But then, think about a plant. A plant does not sweat. A plant doesn't wake up in the morning and panic about whether it's going to successfully grow a new leaf today. It simply rests in the sunlight, it just exists, it absorbs the rain and the sun, and it grows completely naturally under the careful supervision of God. There's this fantastic quote from the text that hits the nail on the head. It says, "The plant is not in continual worriment about its growth, it just grows under the supervision of God." I love that phrase, continual worriment. It beautifully shows just how silly it is for us to try and worry ourselves into spiritual growth. The plant doesn't use conscious, stressful effort to push its stem higher into the sky. It trusts its creator and focuses on just being a plant. So, the absolutely crucial point the source text is making here is a direct instruction for all of us. We need to completely stop being anxious. Seriously, stop worrying about whether or not you are growing. Every single minute you spend stressing out over whether you're a good enough Christian or whether you're growing spiritually, well, it's a minute wasted. You literally cannot add a single inch to your spiritual height through worry. Part 2, stop worrying, start helping. So if we aren't supposed to sit around stressing, and we aren't supposed to constantly check our spiritual measuring tape, what exactly should we be doing with our time? Well, the author asks a pretty challenging question of what value is it to pray when there is need of work? Now, hold on. This isn't saying that praying is bad. Praying is absolutely essential. But the text is pointing out that if you see someone who needs help and you just go into your room and pray about becoming a helpful person, you've completely missed the point. Spiritual growth doesn't happen just by begging God for it while sitting still. It happens when you roll up your sleeves, get to work, and actually help the people around you. So, where do we actually do this work? The text is very specific here, and it starts right exactly where you are. Spiritual growth depends entirely on taking the light God has already given you and putting your best thoughts into active labor in 3 everyday places. First, in your family. Being kind to your siblings, or helping your parents without being asked. Second, in your church. And third, right in your own neighborhood. You don't have to travel across the world to grow. You just have to look at the people right next to you. Let's look at how this builds, because this is your actual game plan. Step 1, do every duty that presents itself. That means do your chores, do your homework, handle the basic everyday things right in front of you. Step 2, be kind, courteous, and pitiful, which, by the way, is just an old school way of saying we need to have deep compassion for people who are hurting. And step 3, talk of the love, mercy, and goodness of Jesus. Instead of worrying about yourself, you naturally grow by focusing on these simple daily actions.
Part 3. The Joy of Growing Naturally. When we actually follow those steps, when we stop looking inward at ourselves and start focusing outward on helping the people around us, something beautiful and entirely natural happens. The text says our hearts will become sacred harps. Think about what a harp is for a second. It's a beautiful musical instrument that makes this joyful, peaceful sound. When we dedicate our minds to serving God, handling our daily duties, and walking in the footsteps of Jesus by helping others, our hearts just naturally tune themselves. They become like these instruments sending a continuous song of joyful praise and thanksgiving right up to God. You don't have to force the music, it just happens. This right here is the ultimate formula for growing like a plant. Step 1 is receive. Jesus is basically our great storehouse of strength and happiness. We study him and we draw strength directly from him. Step 2 is impart, which simply means to share or pass it on. We take that strength and we use it to help and bless others around us. We pass it on. And step 3, grow. By continually receiving from Jesus and giving to others, we grow in grace completely naturally. It's a perfect cycle.
So, we've learned the secret of the plant. Growth isn't about stressing, sweating, or staring in the mirror trying to force yourself to be a better person. It's simply about receiving light and sharing it. So I want to leave you with this question to think about today. Who can you share Jesus' love with right now to start growing? Seriously, don't waste another minute stressing over yourself. Look around your house, your church, or your neighborhood and go find someone to help.